was a rough season for the Western Michigan Broncos last year, and they're hoping for a bounce-back season in 2023 with a new head coach coming in. Lance Taylor is that new man, and I don't know what has happened to his picture here. I apologize for the graininess of that image. Again, I really don't know what has happened there. But anyway, back to the gridiron. Lance Taylor has a lot to do this year as he is looking to revamp a Western Michigan roster and be able to set this team back on course in the right direction, and that is climbing the standings in the Mid-American Conference. Will this team be able to do so and have a successful year one under Lance Taylor, or did this team simply just lose too much talent and might need a couple of years under the system to really make a big jump? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel previewing, predicting, and analyzing all 133 FBS level college football teams, and I'm almost done. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. I post videos during the season as well. You're not going to want to miss those, but there are more ways than that you can help me support my channel. Hey, you're doing one right now by watching the video. You guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else that you guys are willing and able to do to help me support my channel, because whatever you guys do, I will appreciate greatly. So let's talk about Western Michigan football in 2023. How do we do things around here? Well, we're going to go through a roster overview and look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Bronco football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So without further ado, I give you the Western Michigan Broncos in 2023. Now, good news for the Broncos. I'm going to talk about a lot of lost talent in this game because there is a lot leaving this team. But there is good news. You're going to get consistency in the quarterback room this year, which is very, very good. This is I shouldn't say very, very good. That's very bland. Very, very important, right? Again, this is a team that lost a lot offensively, defensively. Getting some consistency somewhere, especially when it's the most important position on the field, is going to be a very key. However, this was a quarterback room that was not great last season. Jack Salopek was your leading passer last year, 1,285 yards, 7 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, under 50% completion percentage. Trayson Bourget, 601 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Again, under 50% completion percentage. So in comes a transfer in Hayden Wolf. He's coming over from Old Dominion, and I got to be quite honest with you, I'm not really sure who's going to end up getting the starting job for this team. Broncos fans, let me know in the comment section down below where the quarterback battle is heading, but the quarterback position nonetheless needs substantial improvement in 2023 for this team to take a step in the right direction. Now, let's talk about some of these losses this team is suffering. Your leading rusher last season, a 1,000-yard rusher, and Sean Tyler has transferred out of the program. 1,027 yards and 7 touchdowns last season. You're also going to be losing Ladarius Jefferson as well. He was the team's second leading rusher last year with 235 yards and 5 touchdowns. So again, there's going to need to be some guys that step up in the running back room. Well, Zahir Abdus-Salam is coming back, as well as Jalen Buckley. And then you do get a transfer coming in by the name of Keyshawn King. Hey, he's a former 4-star out of high school coming over from Virginia Tech, so he could play some big minutes for this team. Let's take a look at the wide receiver room. Well, you lose your leader again here. That's Corey Crooms Jr., 814 yards and 5 touchdowns from last season. A.J. Abbott is also going to be gone. Only 5 catches, 61 yards last year, was more of a depth piece. So other than Crooms, you have pretty much everyone coming back. Jelani Galloway, Anthony Sambucci, and Malik Diodon was your second, third, and fourth leading receivers, again, among wide receivers last season. So there is some experience, there is some talent that comes back to the wide receiver room. So the passing attack, if the quarterback position can improve, can definitely be a strength for this team. But again, losing a player like Corey Crooms is a big deal. Let's take a look at the tight end room as Joshua Burgett is gone, but Blake Bosma will return. 4th leading receiver with 145 yards and a touchdown on 20 carries. He should be, again, another big help to this passing game this season. And then on the offensive line, Elisha Anderson and Dylan Detheridge are going to be leaving this offensive line. Don't know why it took me so long to say that first name. I apologize. So who does come back? Well, Adam Vandervest, Jack Sherwin, and Jacob Gideon, among others, return to the offensive line for Western Michigan. Again, this is the team that loses a lot in the skill position groupings, as you just saw. But again, wide receivers return quite a bit of experience. Again, 2nd, 3rd, 4th leading receivers among wide receivers. But the quarterback position, while it returns a lot and enters in a transfer that could provide some big minutes, needs to improve dramatically from last season. Let's take a look at the defense for this team. You lose a couple of huge key pieces on the defensive line. And the first one is Andre Carter. Led the team in sacks last year and was a top 5 tackler, 68 tackles, 7 sacks last season. Braden Fiske, however you say the last name, I apologize, is also a huge part of this defensive line. 58 tackles, 6 sacks for him last season. And then Warren Dabney, another name on the defensive line that leaves as well. So who does come back? Guys like Marshawn Nealon, Joshua Nobles, and Mason Nelson will come back. Nealon, 38 tackles, a sack and a half last year, I believe was a top 10 tackler for this team. And there should be a K in front of there as well. Again, apologies for the typo. So this is definitely a defensive line. While it loses your top 2 guys, still has some pretty solid talent on it here. In the linebacking position, Zaire Barnes is going to be gone, was the leading tackler for this team last season at 93 tackles, 8 passes defended, tied for the team lead last season as well. Corvin Moment, 76 tackles, 6.5 sacks. That was second on the team, so Fiske ended up being third. I believe I said second, so correction on there. And then Ryan Selig. So that's your 1, 2, 3 top leading tacklers from last season. So who's going to be leading the linebacker room this year? Damari Roberson, Quentin Cannon, and pretty much anyone else you want to fill in there. Again, there's a lot of guys they're going to have to take some steps, or I should say step into some bigger roles here in 2023 in this linebacking room. Now for the defensive back room, again, you suffer your fair share of losses here as Bryson Garner is gone. 5th leading tackler at 66 tackles, 2 interceptions last season. Delano Ware is also gone, 2 interceptions for him last season as well. And then Dorian Jackson leaves as well, tied for the team lead with that 8 passes defended and also a top 10 tackler. However, your guy that led the team in interceptions last season, and Kenny H. Lovely, is coming back. 4 interceptions, 47 tackles last season. Anthony Romph, Aaron Wofford, and Ryan Kilberg will also be returning to this secondary against a defense that needs to see some improvement after it loses some of its more key guys. Your head coach, again, as mentioned earlier, is Lance Taylor. Offensive coordinator Billy Kosh and defensive coordinator Lou Esposito. As we now take a look at the Bronco football schedule for 2023. Any game at home is going to be underlined, while any game on the road will be in italics or that slanted text. Any game you see in green is a game I think the Broncos are going to win easily. Any game in yellow is a game that's going to be a 50-50 back and forth type game, but the Broncos are going to be able to win, and red is a loss. You start out your year against an FCS level opponent in the St. Francis Red Flashes. I think a good opportunity to see what you've made of, to see what this team is made of, see what kind of guys are going to develop into roles on the defense with all that they lost, and see how well improved the quarterback position is for this team. But it should be a win any way you slice it for the Western Michigan Broncos. Although that game is highlighted in green, the Red Flashes can give Western Michigan some problems, especially with all they lost and a brand new system coming in. So we'll see what happens there. Then you got 2 Power 5 opponents on the road, and I don't think you're going to beat either of them. First off, you got to go on the road against Syracuse. Yes, Garrett Schrader is back. Oronde Gadsden is also back. That's the wide receiver there. And Dino Babers, pretty solid, pretty good head coach over there at Syracuse. And while his seat has been warm at times, Syracuse has been a team to defy the odds when they have been counted out. So Syracuse going to be, I think, with Schrader and Gadsden, a very good team this season. So that'll be a win. Iowa's a top half level team in the Big Ten. There's no way the offense is going to be as bad as it was last year. They added and brought in too much talent to help improve that offense. And we know Hawkeye defenses, they're going to be really good again this year. Western Michigan will not be beating the Iowa Hawkeyes this season. So then you start out in conference play with a Week 4 game against the Toledo Rockets, and this is going to be another loss for Western Michigan. It's tough enough to help, it's tough enough to try to slow down this Toledo offense with DeQuan Finn and maybe the best group of skill position players that the Mid-American Conference has to see. A lot of returners on that side of the ball, but there are also a lot of returners defensively as well. Toledo's just going to be a very hard team to slow down in the Mid-American Conference. I should say they're going to be tough to beat, let alone slow down. That'll be a loss there for Western Michigan. Too much talent on the Toledo Rockets, MAC champions from last season. Then you get a game against Ball State. Definitely a winnable game for this Western Michigan program, as Ball State is trying to recoup from a lot of talent losses as well. And I just believe more in Lance Taylor and what Western Michigan has got going on there than what Ball State has going on right now. It's a Ball State program that I could see really struggling in the Mid-American Conference this season. That is going to be a win for the Western Michigan Broncos. I think by this point, the offense is going to start finding their groove. I think the quarterback position will start to get figured out, and you're going to have your names on defense that have stepped up and taken some bigger roles as well. You're not going to go on the road now for your third Power 5 opponent in non-conference play. It's against Mississippi State, and while that is a team that does lose a lot of talent, you got a new head coach in David Arnett entering that team, or excuse me, Zach Arnett. My apologies to Bulldogs fans everywhere. However, Will Rogers is still that quarterback there. There's a lot of seniority on that team. Mississippi State's going to be, again, another solid one out of the SEC this season. So Western Michigan will be losing that game as well. Now, the back half of your schedule is just as tough as the first. You got to play a lot of the top dogs in the Mid-American Conference. One of them towards the top, maybe not at the top at the current moment, but it's the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the conference in Brett Gabbert. Now, while the wide receiver position is a little bit of an issue for this team, I think with all that Western Michigan lost in every single level of the defense, I don't know if there's enough talent awaiting in the wings to be able to recoup from that, and Gabbert's going to be able to sling the ball pretty much all over the field on this Bronco defense and the Bronco offense. Again, I need to see improvement from the quarterback position before I can trust them to get through this Red Hawk defense. That should still be another solid bunch this season. That'll be a loss for the Broncos, and you will lose to Ohio on the road as well. Man, it's always tough when you have to play, in my opinion, what are the best two teams in the Mid-American Conference. Then we have to play them on the road. It's just a whole nother ballgame. Ohio returns Curtis Rourke, my apologies, at the quarterback position, along with maybe besides Toledo the best, or maybe even competing with Toledo, the best group of skill position players the Mid-American Conference has to offer in 2023. Defensively, there's a lot coming back on that team as well, so I really, really like what the Bobcats are working with this season. Could be a team that we could walk away, much like Toledo, with a Mid-American Conference championship. So going on the road to play the Bobcats, not going to be walking out of there with a win. And you're not going to be walking out of Eastern Michigan, that great turf field, with a win either. Eastern Michigan's going to be another very solid bunch this season. They got one of the best running backs in the entire conference in Samson Evans, some good returning talent defensively as well. And again, Western Michigan, maybe they can get rolling. Maybe this is a Bronco team that can start to find some pieces that fit, some pieces that click. But the way I see it right now, I see Eastern Michigan being a team that, again, they do have a tough conference schedule. If they can navigate that, that could definitely be a team we could see playing for a Mid-American Conference championship game. Make no mistake about that. Then you got to go on the road there. Or excuse me, you get your bye week. I was looking at the wrong column. I was skipping a game. My apologies. You get to come back home, play Central Michigan, and the Chippewas also lost a lot of talent from last season. Daniel Richardson is gone at quarterback. Lou Nichols, the running back, is gone as well. Some good talent defensively is gone, and the offensive line may not be as strong as it has been in years past either. I believe this is the game where Western Michigan is just more talented than what the Chippewas are going to be able to offer, and the Broncos will walk away with a win in that game. You got to go on the road now and play Northern Illinois. That's going to be a loss there as well. While the quarterback position fluctuated a lot for that team last season, Rocky Lombardi did, I believe, have some injury woes, which prevented him from playing a whole lot. But he is back this year. There are a lot of really good, talented players. Trayvon Rudolph, the wide receiver, is going to come back after taking last year off, I believe, with an injury, personal issues, and I'm not quite sure what that was. But Northern Illinois got a very talented offense. The Bronco defense will not be able to keep up. And then Bowling Green. There's a lot of improvement that has to be done on this Falcons team. But you know what? This is going to be a team that's going to be right there on the edge of a bowl game berth. Too much talent offensively for this team. Again, with Connor Bazelak coming in to be the quarterback, it'll just be overpowering for the Western Michigan Broncos. So I got the Broncos sitting at 3-9. Yes, you did win a couple games in conference, and maybe it'll take some time for the system for Lance Taylor to get set in. I just think this team lost too much talent, and while I've said this in a lot of Mid-American previews, this team is going to be competitive this year. I truly believe that. I truly believe this team will be close in a lot of games. Miami, Ohio, Northern Illinois, Bowling Green, games like that. But I do not think they come away with some wins. Maybe that is next year's job for Lance Taylor. But I got him at 3-9. Let me know your thoughts about the Broncos in the comment section below. And as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder.